on what was. Black people in America have a sick, incestuous relationship with white America. Every time they go upside our head, we march for a little bit, but then white folks come back to us and say, baby, I'm sorry, will you take me back? And we say, yeah, I'll take you back. And then when we're questioned about our boyfriend / white America, we say, well, we know we live in a good country. It's a great place to go. I wouldn't want to go anywhere. That's sick. At what point do you stop letting your boyfriend go upside your head before you get killed? We are dying right now. And we have this sick relationship with white people that no matter how much they mistreat us, we come back to them with open arms. Minister Farrakhan is saying, and Brother Bovell is the great co-chair of our LOC, him and student minister Robert Muhammad, we're saying, come out of her, my people, that we be not partakers of her sins. We can be in the world and not of the world. We can come together and build an economic infrastructure where we can be self-sufficient and reliant on each other. We have to try that, brothers and sisters. We've tried it all. Our boyfriend, America, has been whipping our behind for 400 years. Are you tired? And if you're not tired, there's something wrong with you. And religion has not solved it. Islam, there's a whole lot of Islam in Wilmington. Everybody saying assalamu alaikum. You still crazy. There's a lot of Jesus and hallelujah in Wilmington. You still crazy and you still love your enemy. Religion has not gone deep enough to deal with the issues in our community. So I'm telling all you so-called Muslims and so-called Christians, practice what you preach and let your light so shine before men so that the youth can see your works, because the youth see you as a bunch of Allah saying, Jesus saying hypocrites. And we need to change that or do away with it and get something else.
And the transparency, but after what Brother John is saying, the transparency starts with us. If our young people, if our youth can't see us making a change, we got to stop selling our people out. It is so easy to come into the black community or to any community and they use the Christian preacher. They'll use the Catholic preacher. Sometimes they'll use the brother who say he's the imam or Muslim, and they pay them X amount of dollars to tell us to keep this condition and don't fight for this. And don't fight for that. The transparency starts with us. See, I stand for no foolishness. And I will not allow anyone to come up against our people in a wrongful way. So if I never, ever win a political seat, I really won at heart because I am there for a justice of people, not the injustice done to people. And that's what we got to stand for. And that's we can have all the talk shows and television shows. But if we don't get out from behind our desks, from out our front doors, and know that Sister Johnson down the street don't have food on the table for her food kids, they don't know that Sister Mary around the corner don't have heat in her house, and do something about it. We got preachers out here grandstanding, talking about how well they may know a family or what they have done, and they done absolutely nothing. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan said, if you want to do something, start with yourself. This Friday, this Black Friday, this Christmas, save your money, hold back. Let America know how important, how powerful we are as a people. And we can do it. And Brother Boston, you can help us do it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's interesting that you say, I'm excited. So it's interesting that you said that, because when I think about the Jackson Street Boys Club, for example.
Yes, sir.
That community's dead. And that community should not be. Why is the Jackson Street Boys Club closed? Should it be closed? How did it close? Why is it not open? I hear now there's money for the Jackson Street Boys Club to be open. Where is it? Why is it not open? We talk about it, but it's not open. Is it a ploy? Because sometimes I wonder, you know what I'm saying? It could be a ploy so I can get a position. I don't know. And I'm not speaking to me, I'm talking about our politicians. Yes. You know, we come up with money that was there to use it for a vote. And that's not fair to the community. That's not fair for our people. That's not fair. Because I'm telling you, I grew up in that boys club, and it's a lot of successful people that have grown up in the Jackson Street Boys Club. Why is it closed? You know, with the HBCU Delaware Coalition, one of the things I tried to do, I had my little container out, and I was trying to make $1 million at $1 at a time. So $1 from everybody, we get 1 million people, that's $1 million. I understand that they have $400,000 to open a boys club. It's going to cost more than that. I believe it costs $400,000 to purchase the boys club. Is it a ploy? So I'm just saying, let's be transparent. Let's include the community. Let's stop excluding people in our community, because that's the only way we're going to grow. Just like you said, if our kids don't see us working together, what can they see? So what kind of message are we sending them? Anybody want to add to the boys club or any?
Yeah, well, Kevin Kelly said at the Claymore Center, and this is one time I was running for state rep. He said, well, the reason why the Jackson Street Boys Club is closed is because the community said the crime was high. Well, let me tell you how crime starts off. When you go down to the Frames Boys Club, not only do they have basketball and volleyball and kickball, a swimming pool and checkers program and a basketball league and a softball league and other little leagues inside there, the Jackson Street Boys Club, they gave us things they thought we would like to do. So it went from 4 pool tables and 4 ping pong tables, a basketball court with 2 half courts and a full court there, and some programs in the lower basements. But when you start losing the programs, when you start taking the pool tables off the pool table and the ping pong tables is broken down and there's no more nets, and then the programs that help the kids with tutoring and their education training start to diminish, of course kids start using it as a hangout. But that still doesn't make them criminals. You know, and then what they do is when other kids want to come by there to learn or find out what it is to learn, and parents dropping them off, thinking they dropping them off at a facility, and this is a facility that has nothing left, nothing else there. That's when they called the hangout a crime. Because it wasn't fighting, it wasn't shooting and killing that was going there. It was because the kids had nothing to do inside, so they stood outside. So Mr. Kelly said, because of the community saying the crime was up in the area, and then when I asked him the specific crimes, he said car break-ins and people's stereos and such forth. But you know, we didn't read those in the paper. Those were statistics that you dreamed up to close it down. See, their real vision for it was to either tear it down and make it a different housing community. But the argument was, why can't we keep that open? You guys open up a PAL way across town, so they wanted to convert it into a PAL at one time, but there wasn't enough outside dollars. But the dollars really come from, you got your Senator Marshall, who is the district senator there. You got your senator state representatives, which is Helene Kelly and other ones there. They can find $5,000 and $10,000 to give to the Polish festival and to give to the Italian festival and to give to the Spanish festival. Why can't we find an X amount of dollars to give to a black community where kids want to learn or want some support there? I watched you over the years volunteer a lot of your time helping these young kids, whether it came to basketball or tutoring or whatever they need. Myself, brothers like this man here, powerful if you want some historical information.
Sure.
But you know what? They still find a way to close our buildings down and put board over them. We say no more to that. So put them on the spot.
You know, it's interesting that you said Bobby Marshall, and it's interesting that you said Kevin Kelly. I understand they're running for mayor.
Yes, they are.
Now, here's my question. I understand that they're good friends.
Oh, yeah. They stick together, put it that way.
So, why is there so many Democrats running for one position? I mean, is it a power thing, or is it a power struggle? Is it that fixed mindset?
No, it's what you said earlier, the good old boy syndrome.
That's
exactly what it is.
I'm just curious because Eugene Young, good person.
Yes, sir.
May be a good mayor. I don't know. But we don't have any young folk. You know what? I tell you what. When I think about the older guys that are in positions, they experienced segregation. When I think about the younger guys, they experienced desegregation. Neither one of those generations have experienced both. So if you're in your 50s, you experienced segregation because in 1978, I was at Wilmington High School. In 1979, I was bused to McCain High School. Wilmington High School was 90% black, 10% white. McCain High School was 80% white, 20% black. So to experience both gave me an opportunity to really understand both, you know, especially at those tender ages of high school. Did it help me go to college? I don't know. I was fine when I was at Wilmington High School. I don't know that there was a lot of people that didn't go to college when it was segregated schools. How are we going to get segregated schools? What are they doing? I understand there's priority schools now.
Well, the dynamics behind that, just to expound on what you said, and if you look at the statistical breakdown of the family, was basically at your infancy, when I say your infancy, you said that you went to McKean, but
Right.
I'm just asking, what grade were you in when that transition was made?
I was passed from the 9th grade to the 10th grade.
Okay, so at that particular stage, just saying that. Now let's
Sure.
roll back 9 years.
Yeah.
And here we go. And I think you and I had this conversation. And one of the things I made so eloquently clear, the breakdown of the individuals who were actually designing this program, where it was DSEG. That program was made by individuals who weren't in the educational process. The problem why it existed was because the Wilmington School District, those teachers were making far more money than the county school districts were. So when they had to break the districts up, it wasn't about the child per se. It was about the teachers that were making that kind of money. Those individuals were either forced into early retirement or either they were asked primarily, this is the school you're going to go to, this is the school you're going to go to. This is what, it wasn't just the kids, but as I said before when we were talking, from first to third or where your baselines are. Sure. If you don't get that from first to third, and I'm sure you'll agree, and most of you will, how are you going to go from fourth, fifth, and sixth if you don't have that baseline?
Sure.
Now, that baseline, based on the DSEG pattern, was fourth, fifth, and sixth came to the city after K through 3. K through 3 in the city was K through 3 in an unfunded and underfunded school system. Now they're forced to go into a district to where those kids that are in that district far surpass them based on the fact of where they stood. Now you go from 6 to 12 and now you're right back into your district and you're back in your city school. But in the process, you lost 3 years. Because the teachers that are out there teaching you, most of them don't look like you. Now, who is going to educate somebody that doesn't look like you to compete against kids that look like them? Think about that. Does that make any sense to anybody? And I'm not sitting here saying, I'm going to call it for what it is.
There you go.
It's obvious that that model that was set forth at the time that it was created was for the chaos that we have and we're experiencing right now. Because, mind you, let's just arbitrarily say Jenny can get to the school. Aretha can't. You see what I'm saying? And think of the dynamics. You're McKean. Your parents may have been able to get there, but think of all the ones that couldn't.
No.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying, think about the dynamics that's being taken away from that child. The nurturing, the neutering, the things you need. You and I have discussed some other things. Some of the things we can move up into the future now, and you can look at it. Look at the individuals that are African American, and look at the dynamics of the teachers that are African American, that the male African American has to look at. Find me somebody on the percentage of the kids that are in the school that look like you. And when you are male, just an African American male, can you relate to that male? Of course you can. You can't relate to him because he's an invisible man. And it's something that we as a people have to get control of, and I don't care how long it takes us back to get to where we need to get our own kids back. Because one of the things we can do when we get them back is they can see us. Just like you said, just like you said, just like you said. If you can't relate, that means you can't assimilate. And if you can't assimilate to the relationship of the person that's with you, that's teaching you, that looks like you.
That's right.
Then, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a byproduct of that.
There you
I
go.
had some great teachers. I'll name one of them. He's no longer with me. He put me on the right path. I told Steve this. I said, there's only one guy in this life that took 5 minutes out of my life. But what he did, his name was Clavon Jones. He said, watch the left, and he hit me with the left. And when I woke up When I left, it was 3 o'clock. When I woke up, it was 3:15. But what he did to me at the time, and I'm not saying violence is what it is, but it never hurt me. I'll just say what it did was put me on the right path to be able to get what I needed to have by a person that looked like me. And some of you guys might have had that opportunity where you bent down and touched your toes. If you had to bend down and touch your toes, then you knew that, what did they say?
Don't drop the
A
soap.
tight what says what? What does a tight do? What does it do? You know what they say? We can't say it on
No,
TV.
no.
But we won't
you
say
know what?
that. But
and
that's
also,
what I won't say it anyway, but I'm just saying that kind of corporal punishment
Sure.
never hurt none of us.
Sure.
And
Right.
what it did was it kept us respectful and it kept us out of that institution called a prison system. And that's a whole nother show, gentlemen.
you know what, Steve, too, the tolerance structure in the school, you know, what we had in the black community with Wilmington High, with PS and with Howard. And see, this is what white government noticed, that we turned out more successful kids, you know, more successful athletes, more doctors and lawyers came from the basis of those schools because we wanted more education. But see, when they segregated us and they bust us out there, they already knew those white teachers had a different tolerance and ability to want to listen to us or think we are ADHD and this guy needs to be in a behavior modification. We didn't see those kind of schools. We didn't have that when we had Howard and Wilmington High. That didn't start existing until we started going into those white schools. But that was their way of sending us down a criminal path, down a way where we can start messing up the pattern of this young man's life or this young lady's life, giving them a criminal record or giving them any behavior record where we can't get good jobs. So, you know, I think, how many years ago was it that they allow us to, it's called choice education now.
Choice.
You can go back, so as long as you can get there.
1996.
That was 96.
when it was implemented.
But
Exactly.
what would you guys, I'm sorry.
And don't get me wrong, there, you know,
Yes,
black,
sir.
white, or indifferent. There are a lot of great teachers out there, and a lot of teachers and a lot of the schools really get a bad rap because of the state and what's going on that level. But we teachers, we get a bad rap because of a kid may not grow, and sometimes it's because of the curriculum. Sometimes. You know, we got to meet a kid where they are. Every kid can learn. One of the things you were saying about those first 3 years, the first 3 years, or K1, 2, 3, you learn how to read. But from 4 until the rest of your life, you read to learn. So if they miss that foundation of learning how to read, that's where these problems exist. So we got to be sure that not just black kids, but all kids are able to read. Because I'm telling you, because if a child cannot read, it doesn't look at the color.
That's it.
You know what I mean? It looks at the disability, and they give you a disability because their lack of. And I think all a disability is that ability has been disrespected when they say that you have a learning disability, because every child can learn, every child will learn, because we got to teach them and treat them with love. Love's missing. Everybody say, what does love have to do with it? Love, the greater he in me is greater than he who is in the world. Hebrews what? We were conceived, right? Conception.
Okay.
Christ Jesus was conceived by the Holy Spirit. We were conceived through because of sex intercourse. So we were conceived through. The first thing that developed was what? Our heart, because the blood had to pump, right? So when I think about the heart and I think about the blood, I'm thinking about heart. How do you spell it? H-E-A-R-T, right? Okay, so if the H-E would be he. And we were created in what kind of form? An art form, right? So greater he in me is greater he in the world. He gave us 3 things in that art form, right? And these 3 things that he gave us was the ability, a revelation, and a testimony. And when we have all 3 of them, that's the heart. But the kids don't know about that heart. They don't know about the heart. So we got to begin to instill love. If we can instill love in the community, man, we can all grow. We can all live united. There's a lot of malice, so don't call it murder town. Just talk about those hearts in the town have been murdered.
There you go.
Yes,
Go ahead,
sir.
Brother John.
Good brother,
Yes, sir.
history is going to look at this seminal moment in our community. We have to really look at the greatness of Brother Malcolm, the greatness of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King,
Sure.
and ask ourselves, these 2 great giants who wanted the same thing but took different avenues, we have to ask certain questions. Has segregation benefited us? has it benefited? And the way my parents talk and the way I hear a lot of grown people talk, you talk in a way where you know that 3 + 4 don't equal 6. You talk like that. But then if I ask you to testify in a court of law that 4 + 3 don't equal 6, you ain't ready to do that.
Wow.
And it's almost like that's how we have Congress say, we just sat here and had this great dance around a form of living that has not worked for us. Black people living among Caucasian people with us not being the majority has not worked. It hasn't worked. You just said it. What do we do now?
That's the question.
What do we do?
Exposure.
If we have come to the conclusion, and I love Martin Luther King, he felt that he could love white people enough to change them. If I just love them enough and give them time, they'll love us. Today's generation are realizing
That's
it's
right.
not so.
But
Not that love doesn't work. I'm talking about that sick love of the girlfriend to the boyfriend.
oh,
Talking about that type of love.
right.
Can we try loving ourselves? But then when I watch the history, Brother Washington, it appears to me that in the annals of history, when black men and women tried to have a philosophy of loving self, we were called haters, racist. Huh? Why is that? We've sat here and said that we need to love each other. There's not a love in the community. The youth don't love each other. But here comes an idea, here comes an institution, here comes an ideology that teaches black on black love. But we as a community don't want to embrace it. We're sick. And God is angry with us because we are his people. And as I tell the brothers in the street, God is angry with you for being a death angel to your own community.
That's right.
You're going to have to answer that. We tell the gangbangers, the big homies, don't think that you can put a hit out on a brother and you're not going to have to answer that. Because the scripture says, prepare slaughter even to the 3rd and 4th generation. You'll put a hit out on a man and think you got away with it. God will put it on your children and your grandchildren, and they will pay for the hit that you put out. Likewise, with those of us who are in a position as elders who know the solution to clean our community, but you're scared to go there because you're scared of what white folk going to say to you. If you don't do what you just sat here and said needs to be done, God will kill you too, and he will give you hell. You'll get fired from your little Fortune 500 job. As the pastors went and they found out that state workers in Delaware are finding all this discrimination, good for you. I'm telling to the black folk that work for Delaware and the state, good for you that you're getting your behind whipped. So now, hopefully, you'll turn around and help the new generation so we don't be the coons and the clowns that you are. Help us, or God will destroy everything you meant to save. He'll take your earnings, he'll take your house, he'll take your little 401k, your little IRA, all that stuff you thought was going to help you be a big Negro in the eyes of white people. God will take it from you if you don't help this new generation be better than you.
There you go. There you go.
Wow. That was a lot.
Couldn't
Awesome.
said it better myself.
You know, and these are the shows that we have to talk about. I mean, it's education, it's appreciation, it's a communication, and by any means necessary, we have to get the word out. And because saying it to them, we saying it to ourselves. Because you all speak with so much passion, so I know you're saying it to yourself. And again, we have to get better. And I'm starting for this shows. This is my 2nd season. I like to really start having these type of forums, talking about, because it's a college. Our kids have to go to college. Anybody can go to college. Anybody can go to school. Anybody can graduate. But they have to know that there are people out there that care about them. And I thank you all for caring about them as much as you do, and the community. We're going to have to do this again.
Praise God.
Can I say this,
You
though,
sure
Brother
can.
Washington? And keep this in mind. It's great to have everybody ready, willing, and able. And a lot of these institutions now are putting up money.
Sure.
But we're not prepared. And see, by us not being prepared, like you said in your own saying there, Steve, was that if you miss K through 3, that's your baseline. K through 3. If you can't read,
Wow. Wow.
Can you imagine what you're going through in life? You'll find yourself in an institution where either you're going to figure out how to read while you're in that institution. And I commend all of those ones that have went there via to going the other route when you should have went the other route. It was free of charge. But for whatever reason, you decided that that wasn't what you needed to do. And now you find yourself amongst others who may or may not want to do so. When you come out of that institution, you have to be a member of society, and you have to be a productive member of society. And here's where I like to stress upon you, the ones who have been incarcerated and changed your life around. You have an obligation not only to yourself, but to the younger ones that you've seen that have come in there and maybe have strayed away. The other ones that were there that have no chance of getting out decided to take you under the wing and put you on the right path.
That's right.
Just like I said, somebody took 5 minutes out of my life. I'll never, 15 minutes, excuse me. And to this day, I appreciate that gentleman, even though he's no longer here with me. But I like that story because he put me on a straight and narrow. Is that what it took? Apparently it did. I consider myself a success, but I'm not a success by myself. I'm a success not only by you, not only by you, not only by you. The reason why I'm a success is because I'm a black man. And one of the things that I'd like to put out there to let you see, and this is very, very, very important. I know we're getting ready to wrap something up, but can you get a close-up of this right here? Can you get a close-up of that? That's a humanitarian medal that was given to me in 1999 when the Kosovo refugees came over here. Those individuals came over here, and they came over here with nothing other than the clothes on their backs. Their families, we're talking about families. And the fact is that the president to this day wants to bring in Syrian refugees. There's no difference between a Syrian refugee, a Kosovo refugee, and a Haitian refugee. And that's where I like to make my point. A Haitian refugee is no different than the rest of them. They'll get here and work too. By that being said, I realize that we have to wind down. So
and
Mr.
I thank you very much.
There you go.
And I thank you out there who's tuned in. We will come on again and talk about some of these important topics. And speaking in the folk that have been incarcerated, I would like a big center where we could teach them how to read. People that can't read. I want to teach them how to read because that helps me. I'm a reading specialist. That's what I do.
Oh, wow.
So, special education teacher today.
All right.
So, sure, anything I could do to help our community, I'm with it.
Okay.
But we need more people. I thank you for tuning into the show. God bless you. God keep you. Tune in again. I want you all to come back on, and I thank you.
Oh, thank you, brother, for having us. And listen, next time we come on, let's talk about what we done from the last time we was here. How about that?
Yeah, you know, we get a little old too now. We might
No,
forgot.
I like that, Doug.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. So
Thank you, sir, for having us.
We'll come on again. This forum here.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.
We are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating His children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now,